Nice bounce by Steve McBurney. Brogan's been one out all afternoon. Type of player you'd like to play with, Jared.
Yeah, I'm wrapped in Dean Brogan. He's had a great career, great AFL player after being a sensational basketballer. Not often you get premierships in 2 games, surely, at the top level.
De Boer, there's the first possession for Mzungu. There's a nice handball. Trengove has to go. And go he does, but he almost gets run down by Palmer. In fact, he does.
Just lacked a little bit of awareness there. Jackson.
Palmer quick to move it on. Bradley works to the front. Good spoil. And they keep it alive. Lower eventually prized it free. Mzungu attacked it really well. The benefits of senior football in the waffle. Fife tried to get it to Mzungu again, so he's had an immediate impact. It'll come to Jacobs, who did well, stood in the tackle. O'Shea, nice evasiveness. And they work it free pretty well. Goes to Boak down the line. Protecting the ball was Pettigrew and gets a bounce with some space opening up. Gray darts to the pocket, kick sits up. McFarlane ran him underneath the ball. Getting back there will be Grover. So what are the positives you take out for Port Adelaide today, Shorey?
Well, they haven't thrown it in. That's one thing. After the initial start in the game, they haven't thrown it in. They've been competitive the last 2 quarters, and especially the 3rd quarter. So to see this out, they try to hopefully outscore them here in this last quarter. There are a lot of other issues behind the scene, though.
Yep.
Interesting, just talking to one of the Adelaide former players here, and the suggestion has been made that Brett Ebert was dropped rather than injured, as we were told earlier in the piece, which would be unusual.
I couldn't see why, because he gives that different mix in their forward line that they haven't had all day.
But we'll follow that up and see if we can find out why before the end of the match.
Tactical?
You can add to that, Shorey, because Robbie Gray's been pretty active up there for him, and with Ebert, just gives him that dimension, extra dimension, and hard to match up on.
Well, then they go with 2 or 3 tools. Now, Motlop's here waiting for a handball, but I think Ben Jacobs said, no, I want to kick a goal. I want to get the name in the paper.
Brett Ebert in the stands with the rest of the Port players.
And Ben Jacobs, 2nd game of football after debuting against the Swans. Averaged 29 disposals for Vic Metro in the Under-18 Championships last year. Crabs around and kick is pretty damn good.
Well, Jared, take us through this kicking style.
Because the natural arc.
The natural arc.
You know all about it.
I know, yeah. I used to kick on that natural arc, but gee, I thought this might have been an over-exaggeration.
I thought he was behind him first and foremost.
Yeah.
But
he put his head over the ball.
Well, have to have a look at that, because it is the natural arc, clearly.
Now look at this. That's a fair arc. That is play on.
Did it easily, though. He knows his own kicking style. Well played.
First goal in AFL football to Ben Jacobs.
I think the other one would be Simon Phillips would be an asset today.
Jasper Pittard.
Well, I like Jasper. He's been asked to do a lot of jobs, and at times his kicking and under pressure's been wanting, but he's only a kid, so yeah, he's been asked to do a lot of things the senior players haven't been asked to do.
Mzungu. Great name, good possession. He puts it into the path of Pearce. Good chase by Motlop. Mzungu again. He's enjoying his first game of AFL football. Dispossessed Motlop. That was a good second attempt. Salopek absorbed the tackle. It was Palmer's hard work, and we'll have it bounce. It's umpire Stuart Wynn. Overcast conditions. Rain hasn't arrived, which is probably good. It's a tough call, isn't it? Both ruckmen do. All ruckmen do it, don't they?
Sometimes it can be a raffle.
I've never seen a ruckman agree with the decision.
Sanderland's chipping ball is very intelligent to main.
Well, that is just horrible defensive helping. Where the midfielders were standing, you'd have to look at it in isolation. But that is just embarrassing to be able to get that space inside 50 with this delay.
There's a replay of the ruck drill. Yep, it was an interesting one. It was Jasper Pittard, I think, Shuri, who was just spectating, not anticipating. Didn't have the awareness of Chris Mayne coming up behind him.
2 goals, 1 for the afternoon for Chris Mayne. 44 games of AFL football. It's not a bad-looking kick. It works late for a behind.
Here he is, Jared.
Jasper. Now, someone's pointing, and then he loses control, and then round the back. He's.
You won't want to see that during the week. You won't want to see that during the week, Jared.
Normal Daniel Motlop, but Westhoff may have saved the day for the moment. Thomas has got plenty to think about and work against Crowley. Still some names to come back into Fremantle, some that may not come back. Jared, Michael Barlow, do you think we'll see him this year?
Well, it all depends on that broken leg. It was a horrendous break, so let's hope that he gets back. He's got to get back into the waffle first, from according to Jacko, hasn't reignited yet.
There's Mzungu.
Mzungu! Bouncing ball, unkind. That deserved to go through in your AFL debut.
Yeah, he's got some tricks. There's a lot of bowlers will be able to like to put the backspin on that ball.
Too. I'd like to do it with a 9-iron too. You're going to go close to the pin.
Moore sets up Hartlett, absorbed the tackle. Kane Corns. Carlisle, Hartlett, good defensive pressure by Palmer.
All started because of a dud handball. The first handball had too much airtime, and it just puts players under enormous pressure.
Fourth quarters haven't been good for Port Adelaide this year. They've only won the 1 from 8. Hill feeding it back to Bradley. Tries to feed it to Sandilands. That was like watching a tree get chopped, Shuri. It's timber.
He fell over slow-mo, didn't he? I think might see a slow-mo one bit later, but he did fall over slow-mo. And there's that lob hand. Oh, that's just putting your teammate under pressure. That's saying, I don't want the pressure, you take it. And here he is. Timber!
No, he's been very good in Sandilands. 45 hit-outs last week against the Eagles.
This bloke's been good too, Broadbent.
Yep. Salopek weaving his way through. Not sure that Westhoff was the intended target, but he made it work towards Schultz. Has to track it back with Grover. Gray attacked him, but Grover just attacked the ball and they all peel off. Nice work from the veteran. Chipping ball to Crowley. Had the job on Daniel Pearce and saw him off, who was substituted off. And we're led to believe that Daniel Pearce's body language after being subbed off wasn't particularly good, Jacko.
Silence is deadly.
And Aaron Sandilands makes his way to the bench. We'll stay with that as play continues on. Jacobs.
I don't think it's long before we see Jonathan Griffin activated, Shuri, to come into the side to give Sandilands either a complete rest or at least a partial one.
Flying high was McFarlane, got nowhere near it. Phillips must have heard the call, 15 back. Well, you spoke to Mark Harvey, Jared, in the pre-game, and he made mention of the fact that Jacobs isn't far away.
Griffin.
And apologise.
Yep, Griffin. He's going to certainly be looked at shortly. It's a long year, and he does a lot of work. There's that win. You can just really see it holding that ball up.
And we saw the impact of an injured Aaron Sandilands in the finals last year for Fremantle. Such an important player. So is Mundy.
Boys, he's just come onto the bench, so the trainers are looking at Aaron Sandilands at the minute. He's in the hands of 3 doctors.
Great handball from Mzungu there, Shuri.
Was it what?
And they're out on the outer wing. Pearce has got time and space, and perhaps he's got the pace. He's got 20 metres forward and back, can chip it over the top to Robertson, who pushes forward to the ball. He can play on top of the goal square, and that is as easy as that.
Well, just watch the way Andrew Moore just left Robertson then, and he's got to learn the game. You've got to allow your play. We can see this now. It unfolds here. The centre bounce, the kick into the corridor. Pavlich kicks out. Now, what's more here, it will see it as I'm trying to pick up who was that. Clancy Pearce running onto the ball. There's Moore coming. He could not influence the play at all, and that's his teammate who he's left, his opponent who he's left. Stay there and allow him to kick the ball over the head and the pressure to come from behind. That's a youngster playing the game and not learning at the moment.
Might head boundary side and check in with Glenn Jakovic.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, just see here, the ankle. So he's just giving it a bit of a tweak, boys. He's taking the boot off, but he's still in the hands of the trainers.
Robertson with 2 goals this afternoon. Fife, slick handball to De Boer, couldn't break the tackles. Main attacked it. Fife again. Eventually Bradley. Chain of handballs ends up with Ibbotson. Corralled in by Corns. Back to Bradley. They'll retreat. And Crichton runs hard. Shutdown work by Phillips.
That's where the pressure's got to come from. Behind. You cannot leave your man, as you said, Shuri, which sets up a game of drafts.
Well done to Phillips then. Just Justin Westhoff. He's an enormous talent. We've seen him do it. I think he might be a better goal-kicking midfielder than what he is a goal-kicking foot. Yeah, up on the wing. Matter of fact, he played, I'm trying to think, about 3 weeks ago, had a sensational game on the wing here, Jared. It was against Adelaide.
Yeah.
And Boat was good. Got it to Phillips. Can't break 2 Fremantle tacklers. Off the ground. Salopek was good, but ineffective.
Well, he's just got to work within his own limitations, Phillips. He hasn't got the breakaway speed. He looks like he's going fast, but the bigger, taller players, they just mowed him up there, and just he needs to get the quick hands away.
He reminds me of Dennis Armfield from Carlton, and exactly the same thing. Know your limitations. But look, I tell you what, he's enterprising, and there hasn't been a lot of enterprise within this group.
Former Swan spent the last 3 years with Norwood. Simon Phillips. High ball from Grover. Trengove needs to go, and he did.
He could kick this. That wind is really blustering up.
Daniel Motlop.
He obviously doesn't think he can kick it.
Go the
He
top,
will
baby.
unload with a barrel. Perhaps not the best option. Great start by Fremantle in the opening quarter, led by 31 points. Extended that at half-time, 53-point margin. Final change, it was 55-point lead to the Dockers. A good mark from Trengove. He'll do it again and almost went back to Motlop. And he will. Take 2. He puts the torpedo away and showed some candy and will unload from way outside 50, but it tracks wide.
That was better.
So Fremantle will sit in 6th place, but bearing in mind that both Sydney and Hawthorn have a game to play tomorrow, and if they win, it's back to 8th for the Dockers. Mundy through the middle of the ground.
Just got
Good work by Pettigrew. Palmer to mop it up. The run from Hill. Haven't seen much of this today. He hits the turbos, puts it into 5th, and nails the goal.
That's all the way there from full back to an easy kick for Stephen Hill. And we can just see it here up the corridor.
Should have broken down though, Shuri. I mean, Michael Pettigrew is a very experienced player now. This has to be taken, this mark.
So right, Tendai Mzungu, he knows how to handle the ball and create play and draw someone to the pressure and allow his teammates some space. Yeah, just too easy, isn't it? Not a lot of physical effort there and intent to pressure.
First goal for Stephen Hill this afternoon. He's only missed 1 game since debuting against the Bulldogs.
Boys,
round 1 of 09. Jacko?
Not sure if we're going to see Aaron Sandilands for the rest of the game. He's tried to get up and do a couple of run-throughs, but he's gone back on the bench and might be all over for him for today, boys.
More precautionary, Jacko, than anything else?
Well, you would think so, given the lead that they've got, and Kepler Bradley gone into the ruck. So, but obviously there's some discomfort there for him. So we'll wait and see what the outcome is.
Would be a big ankle to strap too. Hartlett got it from Motlop. Heads out wide to Robbie Gray. He wheels around quickly. Grover just holds his ground. Gray back by hand to Thomas. Jacobs continues to push forward. Sights the goals and unloads.
He's been fairly impressive too, Benny Jacobs.
Yeah, he's been good in patches, and we just saw he's got a pretty fair left leg on him.
19 disposals for the afternoon. Johnson, the kick to Ibbotson, couldn't take the mark. Jacobs involved again. Logan arriving late was Main, and he puts his head down. This will be interesting. Good work by Thomas, just bullocks his way free. And it's Willing. Eventually brought into Phillips. Can he make the right decision, Simon Phillips?
Oh, I love him. I love Simon Phillips.
Well, there it is, boys. It looks like more of the foot, not the ankle. They've put ice on his actual front part of his foot.
Yeah, when he went down, he stood on his foot, didn't he, Jagger?
Yeah, something like that. So
Bradley, in the absence of Sandilands and Brogan, comfortably got rid of Bradley. De Boer took possession and got it towards Johnson, and he goes to Grover, and he can run. Linking up with Johnson again. There's a wave of white jumpers pushing forward now. Johnson needed to think about his options and hopefully work it through. Palmer, intelligent. Got it back to Lower, who had a great opening half. Beautiful looping handball from Lower to Palmer. Needs to get the gather. Mzungo thought about it. They all peel off from Palmer. Opens up the door. Tracking towards the goal square. And a good spoil by Corns.
The Fife looked all dangerous for the last couple of minutes there. You see him just standing on that foot and knocking the big man over. Good vision from the cameraman.
Carlisle tries to drill it towards Pittard. Had to spoil, and he did it really well.
Good job. Well done.
Got it to Brogan. He's worked tirelessly once again, Dean Brogan. And goes to Hartlett. I should say. Phillips. Continues to present, though, Shrew. That's a real positive for Simon.
Oh, like I said, he has a dip. He gets in front and he leads up with the ball carrier.
Gray kept it well. And in play. Round the corner kick is great. Finds up Schultz.
Just want to show this Pittard spoil them. The reason he did that, because the pass never got to him, but he knew he had a man in the corner. So it just shows he's got the smarts to understand the game and the situation.
2 goals this afternoon for Jay Schultz. It's 97 career goals. 5 for the season. Make it 6. It's uncomplicated.
Good kick. He always showed enormous promise at Richmond as a gun forward. Just couldn't quite put the runs on the board often enough, Shuri, but he was always a fantastic kick. And here's another look at what
he knew what he was doing, no doubt.
It was very smart play, well executed, and well, it resulted in a goal.
Robbie Gray, I think he's been the best forward, no doubt, for Port Adelaide. They kicked his 3 all in the 3rd quarter, but he's also had a couple of goal assists.
Led the goal scorers for Port Adelaide last year, 33 in his first year at Port, including a career-high 7 goals against the Kangaroos in round 13. Good bounce from Stuart Wen. Pavlich sharks it hurriedly. Well, vacant half-forward flank. Carlisle, Robertson. Got a couple of players, Shuri, for Port Adelaide that are laconic in their nature.
Yeah.
Carlisle and Westhoff.
Yep. Yeah, well, Westhoff, as I said in the showdown this year, I watched him. I thought, gee, this is could be the making of the man, but then he doesn't touch it for another 2 to 3 weeks. Another part of Carlisle, as Gerard said, that just lazy finishing off of his skills at times.
I see a really good player in Paddy Carlisle.
Yeah.
If he can just smooth out some of the rough edges.
How do you get that out of him, Gerard?
Well, it all comes back to training. I think there's no other secret in this business, and that is you train the way you want to play.
Chaplin hurriedly. It's an extra 40 metres.
And it is more difficult, I guess, if most of the week is spent on recovery. But sometimes I think sides that are coming through like this have got to forget about recovery, and they've got to worry about the big picture. And if they lose a couple of other games because they're demanding excellence and training for excellence on the ground, well, bad luck.
I'm exactly with you in that you're trying to know the intensity your body and your mind can take, and then you can let it off later, but you've got to learn that and get to that level, or else you never get there.
You go back to Melbourne 3 weeks ago. They got belted. What did the coach do? He told the phys ed guy to have a week off.
And get the mouth guards out.
And go, well, let's do a bit of training.
It worked.
I mean, there's a balance. We all understand that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get the feeling that the balance is all one way.
A lot of coaches now are saying that there will be more rehab now because of this new sub rule, but I don't mind that. I don't mind that. It takes more rehab. The game itself, I think, is I've seen so many great games and close games that I think it's been more competitive.
Strong work by Main on Schultz.
And Jared, for Fremantle, Reece Palmer's much return form today. He's been in the spotlight, especially in Perth. How do you assess his game today?
Well, he's had a good game. There's no doubt about that. But he'll be judged on games against better quality opposition. But you can only beat who you've got out in front of you. And he's set his mark and he's achieved what he came here to do, and that's play well.
Good work by Robbie Gray to get it to Motlop. We'll have it thrown in deep inside Port Adelaide's attacking 50. Some big names still for Fremantle on the sidelines. Roger Hayden, Adam McPhee, Silvani, Subin, Waters, and obviously Morabito. Bradley. A lot of players around the ball. Chaplin. Great smother from Duffield. Good desperation. Nice hands from Palmer. And he can release it by hand to Main. Johnson.
I think out of that group that you mentioned then, and I know Jacko would know more than that, I think Roger Hayden is so important. The way his ability to play on a player, cut him out, but then his rebound ability, he's not going to play, I don't know, if he gets the second half of the year in before finals, very important for Fremantle.
Get Jacko's thoughts on Roger Hayden right about now. Jacko?
Oh, fantastic player. Just gives them a lot of rebound, but quality user of the ball and sets them up real well. And, I mean, back to a bit of form, Paul Duffield in their half-back line today. McFarlane's been very good. Their numbers might not be high, but that's been an asset of their play, especially last year, that got him in the finals, is their rebound from their back 50.
Yeah, and Subin's the other one, Jack, as you know, that's out of the side. He's not that far away, is he? 3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah. Well, he probably come back through, you would think, the waffle.
Yeah.
All depends on his fitness levels. But then you've got, obviously, Barlow, who they're waiting for. Morabito's obviously gone for the year, but, they're the players that are in their best 22.
And Port Adelaide have managed to work it free, and Boat kicks a late goal.
Well, it was a good finish by Boat. Won the ball from the clearance. So we can pick him up. There he comes round the back. It's one of his tactics. He does it often. Starts 10 metres off the pack and flies forward. I think we've replayed that one a couple of times through the season. He knows where they are. He's a darn good player. Not having a stellar year just at the moment because everyone's focusing very closely on him. And there's not a lot of support for him, but he works hard.
Well, the greatest test for a lot of these players too, Jared, in a very ordinary year is how they keep themselves up. And that's going to be the test for the second part of this season. And you find people out. You find people you want involved in your club, and you find the ones that you want to move away very quickly.
It's a great call, Shorey. And they've got some good young kids coming through Port Adelaide. They need their leaders to do that and lead.
Jacko, if we can just get back to the Dockers and the blokes who got out. To me, Silvani is one of their really pivotal players because he's a structural player, and I reckon he can release Michael Johnson to be wing, forward, second ruckman, etc.
Yeah, you're definitely right. He was looking like he'd be back in a couple of weeks, but still some weeks away.
It was great work by Chaplin. Fremantle were away, and Pittard. This looks very comfortable at the elite level. Good call from Steve McBurney. Crichton feeds it to lower, gets the 1-2, then cuts back inboard, then goes outboard to Fife, who thought about going to Duffield, went wider to Grover. Lights are on, chipping ball to ball, forward of the ball, and lays it off to lower. He's enjoying his second crack at AFL football and squirts it to Crowley.
So Duffield's the other one. Duffield needs to, it's just his kicking skills. You get him in the form. And one thing about the game like today is everybody gets a bit of confidence out of it, don't they? Hasn't been a massive amount of pressure, but they've still got the job done. 23
disposals for Ryan Crowley, and that is a very good kick with an almighty fly by Main. And that says it all by Chris Main. What a leap.
Well, he might have just dropped a car.
I think it's only petrol now, isn't
it? Yes. It's a petrol. That's more expensive than a car.
Exactly.
It was a tremendous leap by Chris Main. Some of the big name Fremantle players on the bench having well-earned rest. And Phillips likes to run. And he'll put it down the line. The kick is good to Schultz. Can wheel around and thump it long to Chaplin, marked by Pavlich. Chaplin protects it. And goes again. Can he get away from Pavlich? No.
I'd like the move, the experimentation of Trent Chaplin. He's
I like it.
so often played as that loose across half-back or as a genuine centre half-back, and we know he can play that role. But he's gone on to Pavlich. He's done a good job. He's pushed forward. He's got dangerous.
And he finished runner-up my best and fairest last year to Kane Corns, and Phillips around the corner. Fremantle with all the numbers. It's a wide kick.
So he had more time again, didn't he? Just doesn't know the time that he's got with the footy, but he accumulates it, and that's a start. Get the ball in the hand, the opposition haven't had. He's had 15 possessions. His kicking efficiency is at 70%, but it's been the finishing on goal or at goal that's been important.
Lower's continuing to work forward. Crowley, Lower again. Met heavily by Corns.
Been a good pickup, Lower.
Yep.
Big body, good efficiency, works hard.
Logan just put his head down and attacked it. Phillips again. Bounces around. Bradley goes to ground. O'Shea's tackled well by De Boer.
That's right.
Mundy tried to get it with a low kick towards Hill, who's been very quiet this afternoon. Has a goal, and Pittard. Good work by Mundy. Logan still keeping it alive. Hurriedly onto the boot. De Boer with courage. Let it go.
It was interesting. We heard the umpire explaining what the free kick was for, and then people looking around looking for the explanation, and then Steve McBurney came over the top and started saying play on, play on, play on. And maybe that's one of the issues, that the play on call doesn't come early enough or loud enough.
Or either umpire can do it. Does that make sense?
Dockers continue to play on. It goes to Robertson. He'll put it towards Main, who's deep. And he quickly moves it on. Centering kick is great to Johnson.
What I mean by that, Jared, is sometimes the umpire in control is looking at the play around where the free kick is. But if someone 50 metres down, the umpire sees that they've got 2 to 3 players out of that area and he calls play on, you still hear it, don't you? So,
like McBurney there, was it was clear.
So do we keep it as it is, Jared, or do we go back to what it was?
Well, I don't think anything's going to change at the moment. I mean, the question is, can you change player behaviour that's built up over 30 years, and that's not to stop on a whistle. The early evidence suggests no, but it's taken us a while to get used to some free kicks, and it's all natural now, but the whistle is a powerful force.
It can only work if the whistle is not blown for the free kick. That's the only time, but the umpires have been trained for that long. I don't know. You probably have more problems trying to change that of their game than what you would the interpretation, the way it is.
I think one thing is certain: if we go with the advantage rule again next year, I don't think it will occur around stoppages. We don't do it in the middle at centre bounces, and for that reason we probably shouldn't do it all around the ground.
Yep. Well, it certainly is a contentious issue in the game of AFL at the moment. We're playing out the last 3 minutes of this round 9 match, Indigenous round. Port Adelaide will remain on 1 win. And Fremantle will sit in 6th, but Sydney and Hawthorn to play tomorrow. Crichton to Pearce, Logan, beneficiary of a decent bounce, but got buffeted off the ball by Pearce.
He's worked hard, Logan.
So did Clancy Pearce. Ibbotson got boot to ball, Main, front position. Eventually he got there. Good tackle by Pittard, takes him to ground. Good work by Pettigrew, just tapped it away into the path of Logan. And eventually Robbie Gray casually can just stroll along, gather the ball and head down the line.
Well, there is good news, of course, Shuri. All through the week there were reports that today, according to one cult, the Earth was going to finish. It's all over. So at this stage, we've got about 6 hours and we're safe. It's a bit like the Millennium Bug. We had to get through it to realise it was a load of nonsense.
I can't believe people buy into it, Jared. Lower.
One day they'll be
Monday.
right, you know.
Oh, that's not a while away first, though, Jared. And Hartlett feeds it towards Motlop.
I'm a very selfish person, Jared. Not while I'm here. Can happen that? No, leave my kids. I'll take the kids and then they can, whatever happens. Grandchildren? Oh, well, it's never ending, isn't it?
Boak tries to go to Schultz. Very early, mopping up is McFarlane. And they can just share it around to run out the final minute and a half here. Fremantle have certainly done it well.
One thing you'd have to look at the end of this game for Port Adelaide is tactically their forward setup and their structure forward of centre has been very ordinary, even when kicking with the breeze. I just couldn't understand why you would allow the opposition to have numbers back behind and not make a contest.
Hill just moved the hips and got rid of Motlop.
Good effort, Ken.
Hasn't been the best hunting ground for Fremantle. 7-3 against at Amy Stadium. This will be their first win since round 11, 2009. And it was set up with a terrific opening quarter. They led by 31 points.
Jacko McFarlane's enjoyed a pretty good year as a fullback.
He certainly has. He's had some big jobs during the course of the year. He'll get some bigger ones, especially with the bigger players. Obviously playing on Buddy Franklin and co. But his rebound was fantastic, and his leadership today is fantastic down back with Grover as well.
Johnson from the throw-in, got boot to ball. Good tackle by Pettigrew on Monday. And Jacko, staying with you, have you seen Michael Johnson's game this afternoon?
It's been his best one definitely in a month, if not for the year. Got himself involved very early, got a fair few touches up in the first quarter, and he's just done his job. He kept Westhoff down to virtually no possessions, no goals in that first half, and he's won that battle.
Palmer, another possession. Fitted back to Ibbotson, to Pearce, eventually Fife. Nice use of the handball to McFarlane. It goes to Grover. Time for a little bit of a balk. Got it to De Boer. Phillips there for some pressure. Grover goes to ground. Phillips again. Grover through Phillips's legs. Haven't seen that too often. It goes to McFarlane, former Hawk.
Says they'd like him right now.
And Crowley. And Fremantle get the business done at Amy Stadium. 21 goals, 16, 142. Too good for Port Adelaide, 14-6, 90.